I am sure sports. You know me there. I'm coast to coast representing. I mean, I say this is righteous representing for Omar. You don't know, come get the sports over here from near and far. Boy. Me say I am sure sports, one thing me sure about. When me say sure, that me not doubt. Come get your sports, get it over here. Come subscribe, repost and share. I am sure sports, one thing me sure about. When me say sure, that me not doubt. Come get your sports, get it over here. Come subscribe, repost and share. If me not sure, that me not say it. Know who score, that me not say it. Never know the game play, that me not say it. If me never seen a game, me not know who play. For your sports news, better come over here so. For your soccer news, then come over here so. If you don't love sports, still come over here so. For the day done, you are gonna love over here so.
So when it comes on to behavior concerning football, Jamaica is decent. I am sure that if we can get all of these things done, set in place by the end of April, it gives us enough time before the World Cup campaign. Not afraid of no Brazil, no Argentina with these crap of players. We are good enough. Remember, like, subscribe, share. Listen, comment, let me know what your thoughts are.
Trick Jerk Marinade gives your meats and vegetables authentic Jamaican jerk flavor. The spices are directly from Jamaica. Spices like jerk seasoning, allspice, Scotch bonnet pepper, fresh scallions, thyme, ginger, and garlic. The key ingredients to a great jerk marinade. 0% sugar and low in sodium. You want to try it?
Made up of 18 Jamaican herbs and spices. Add delicious, bold flavor to your next grilling experience. Flavoring sauce, a marinade, basting, condiment, or topping. Trick Nick Jerk Barbecue Sauce.
All right. Good afternoon and welcome to I Am Sure Sports. As usual, I am your host, Manningsman, on this, the first day of the second month, February 2023. So we are 1, 2, 3. And there is a little thing that we used to say back when I was a child. It says 1, 2, 3. Mother catch a flea. She put it in the teapot to make a cup of tea. The flea jumped out and mother gave a shout. And here comes daddy with his shirt hanging out. So, I don't know what that means, but yes. I don't know what it means, but it sounds very good. But I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful day. Today we have a very, very special show. This is part of our Caribbean Connection or regional integration show where we speak to persons from all across the Caribbean and to get their views on the state of affair of the sport of football in the region that they are, so we can learn and exchange and principles and practices that can make all of us in the Caribbean better. We have two platforms that brings this: I Am Sure Sports and I Am Sure Sports Caribbean. And it is up on both right now. It is up on I Am Sure Sports, and it is up on I Am Sure Sports Caribbean. Either one you're on, you hit the like button. If you have not subscribed, you subscribe, and you also share the content so other persons can participate in this fruitful discussion that we will be having today. I must also apologize for the late start. We were scheduled to start at 3, and so our humblest apologies for starting a little bit late, but we will make it worth your while. I have with me today my co-host for this program. He hails from Trinidad and Tobago. He has posited that he was a footballer. I have yet to see any proof of that. One thing I've known is that we ought not to blow our own trumpet. And though he speak of his exploits, I have not heard any of his compatriots from Trinidad confirm those arguments. I hope his friend who is going to be with us today will either deny or confirm that my co-host, Mr. Andre, can play football. What I can tell you is that he can coach, right? Because his sons are good footballers, and normally if your sons are good, you're not good, right? That's just how football goes. So but I'll let him come and defend himself and introduce our
Ah,
guest.
boy. That's good, man. You cover a couple of things, but I'm gonna leave others to talk about my playing career. But the one thing that you said that I appreciate is that normally if your sons are good, you are not good. Right? So what happened? I've been the first to do a lot of things. So you may find out that I'm the first.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to our discussion today, though. So, take it away. It's your time, man.
So today we have Stephan Defoe. Stephan Defoe grew up in Trinidad and Tobago, where he learned to play the game and played with many club teams in Trinidad and Tobago. He's currently the Haitian under 17 and under 20 men's assistant national team coach or national team assistant coach. He also coaches here in the United States for Challenge Soccer Club. He coaches the ECNL Regional Girls Program. And he's been the former head coach of Trinidad and Tobago Women's Football Program, former head coach of the Cayman Islands Women's National Football Program, former head coach of the Haiti's Women National Football Program, and former head coach of the Trinidad and Tobago National Team, former assistant coach for Trinidad and Tobago under 20 team, and the former assistant coach for Idaho State University. There's a lot of things to share about Stephan, but that's why we have him here today, so he can come and tell us a little bit more about himself and his exploits. But Stephan, let me welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for taking the time to be here today with us to discuss. But I'm always prepared, Stephan. I'm always prepared, and I feel like I was just attacked by co-host Stephan. But that's a good start. But I'm always prepared. You see, if you get caught getting prepared, then it's too late. So I'm always prepared. Management.
Yeah, welcome, welcome, Stephan.
Thank you.
So good to have you, man. We still hear a little feedback at times. Don't know where, but probably. So I don't know. We can do it this way, where when we are not engaged, we can mute the mics. So hopefully it doesn't. But it's not heavy. I don't know if you're hearing it. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm hearing it.
Yeah, on which side it is on, but we will sort that out as we go on. But it is so good to have you. And part of what Andre and I have been doing is just to have the conversations, and hopefully from the conversations, the areas of Caribbean football that needs to change for the better will change. And I think all of us who have, watched Caribbean football from the days of, the Caribbean Cup, the Shell Cup, all of those things, and just saw how good Caribbean football was when, there was a season of Caribbean football when players from Trinidad would be in Jamaica playing, and there was a season when Jamaican players were going to play in the professional league in Trinidad, and a lot of things have changed, some of it because of the pandemic, but I mean, the pandemic is not the only cause of some of the issues we have in Caribbean football. And, we're trying to lift our voices in concert, hoping that the powers that be will listen and, begin to make some of the changes so that every World Cup cycle, we can see a Caribbean team in the World Cup. And that is from the senior World Cups on the male side to the junior ones And likewise, on the female side, every single cycle, we should have Caribbean teams represented under 17, under 20, senior. All right. And even to qualify for the Olympics, as impossible as that may seem. So that is the whole purpose of the discussions that we have been having. And so we are glad that you're here to engage in that discussion with us.
Well, thank you very much, Mannings and Andre, for having me. I appreciate and humbly thankful that you guys could have me on to just say, my piece on, on the state of football in the Caribbean and where we were and where we at and where we could be and where we should be going. So thank you for having me on.
Okay. All right, Andre, you want to take it away? You're muted.
Yeah, I'm trying to deal with that song, right? I'm trying to follow instructions. Stephan, could you share with us and share with the viewers where in Trinidad and Tobago you grew up and what got you started in the game of football?
Well, I actually was born in Sangre Grande. In Trinidad and Tobago, and I was playing cricket before I started to play football. I was very interested in cricket more than football. Then I actually moved to Tunapuna, and that's where I started playing football. And that got me interested in the game a lot more. Started playing with Tesca. First and foremost, the first club I played with there, first division. I played with, there were like 7 or 8 national team players on that team, and they basically groomed me into being the players I played with. And yes, Mannings, I played with Andre at Alvin Cornelius Coaching School, where I did see him play. And Andre Fortune was a very skillful player. He was a very talented player, as most of the players in Alvin Cornelius Coaching School was at the time. So I can attest to you that, you have someone with live experience seeing Andre Fortune play. So, and then I played various other clubs. I played at Maple, one of the top clubs in the country. I also played at Tacarigua United. And then I got in 1987 or 88, I got, when Gali Cummins was coaching the strike squad, I got called up with a team to train with the team. Train with the team for a while before I got injured and I did not make the rest of the campaign. That's been playing with Dexter Skeen and all Alabi and all these guys and they. And then from there, I went into the Army, played for the Army for a little while. And from the Army, I left and came abroad and started doing my coaching. I started to coach the men's team at the Idaho State University, where I went to school, and then coached the assistant coach for the women's team there also. And basically my coaching career took off from there. And I have been coaching since, I would say, 1995 until now, still going at it.
So Stephan, thank you for that. Why is that? Where is that? I don't know. I have no noise here, so I'm not sure where that echo is coming from. But Stephan, you growing up in Trinidad and Tobago and playing, could you describe the environment in terms of opportunities back in that time period? Was there a lot of opportunities? Was there very little opportunities for young players with ambition who wanted to play in the game, whether they wanted to play in college or play professionally?
Well, as I said, as Andre, as you and I know, when you were playing in when we were at Alvin Cornell Coaching School, that was the main pathway, I would say, for guys to get something out of playing the game. We did not have the opportunities, as much opportunities that these young people have nowadays, being more so because more colleges have introduced football into their programs. So therefore, there are more opportunities also. But before that, we very rarely had opportunities, and we played the game more so for the love of the game. And we enjoyed playing the game. And so there wasn't much opportunities then as it was then and now. And the ones like Andre yourself who got the opportunity to go abroad and go to school, most of the guys from Alvin Cornell Coaching School, I think that was the main thing for Alvin Cornell Coaching School, was to get people to get some scholarships abroad to play and further their education also. So there wasn't much back then as there is now at all.
Management, chime in.
All right. So I think something is causing a major feedback. I don't know what is causing it. So every time that I come in, there is some sort of feedback. So, but I don't know. Maybe Andre, here's what I'm going to ask. If you want to just sign out and sign back in, and then I'll speak to Stephan, and then you come back in, and then we can do the same thing with Stephan and see if we can fix that. And in the meantime, I'll just ask him to continue, because you were speaking, Stephan, about your the university you went to, which is Idaho State University, and you started coaching there on the female side or on the male side first, and how did you get into coaching? What led you into coaching after university, basically?
I was going to school at Idaho State University, and I was playing actually with a men's club team. It wasn't so much a varsity program, it was a club team. And the coach left, and we didn't have a coach. And most of the guys asked me, hey, Stephan, why don't you coach a team? I never coached before, and I just took it upon myself, and I started to coach the team. And at the same time, the women's club team came and asked me, they want to start a women's program, women's club team, and if I could coach them also. So therefore, I ended up coaching both the men's and women's club team. And then then the high school came and asked me to coach their team. And while doing that, the state director of coaching, Bob Gansler, and came and, he did a clinic, and I took the course, and he asked me, why don't I further my coaching career? Because, I'm good at it. And that's why I started, taking up my education to take my courses and licenses and stuff. And from there, they started a women's program at Idaho State University, and Title IX came into effect. And I became the assistant coach for that program for 5 years. And when I left the university, I moved on to coach as director of clubs and technical director of other clubs and ODP coaching. And from there, my coaching career just went further.
Okay, Andre, you're back now. Let's see. All right, so we're still getting the sound. So now I'm going to ask if, all right, so can you know, Stephan, can you sign out and sign in? Let's see if the same thing will happen. So we're going to sort this out in the meantime. So just sign out and sign back in. Let's see if we can get this. So, all right.
Okay, so if I click on exit full screen.
So let's go here. Right, so All right, so we're going to try and sort this out because I want to make sure that we are giving you the best audio quality. All right, we don't want you to miss the important message in this interview. We want to make sure that we're giving you the best audio quality. So just give us just a couple of minutes, and we are going to sort this out. And like I said, we will give you the good audio so you can hear everything. We see Coach Vin Blaine greeting Stephan. Seem to be someone that he knows. All right, let's add back Stephan.
Right.
All right, I think we are good to go now.
Lovely.
All right, wonderful. Whatever it was, it's gone. All right, so continue now, Andre. We are good to go.
So Stephan, you started a career at Idaho State. You did some coaching there. You coach in the community at the club level, and at some point in time, you started to coach at the international level. How did that happen? Was it Haiti you went to first, or was it Trinidad?
Actually, it was Trinidad first. I left Idaho in 2008, moved to Houston, Texas, and I was the boys director at a Albion soccer club here, and I stayed there for like a year, and then I moved back to Trinidad because my young boys were back home with my wife, and I went back there to just be with them, help them through school and stuff. And I wanted to get into the coaching. I spoke to Marlon Charles. I spoke to Jack Warner, and Jack Warner, Lincoln Phillips was the technical director at the time. And they got me in, and him and they got me into the program, and they put me under Jamal, was coaching the women at the time, and they put me as the assistant coach with Jamal and Marlon for the under-20s at that time. And then Mr. Pellerud. So it was like in 2010, I went back home, and I worked with Jamal until like 2011 for over a year. And then Mr. Pellerud, Evan Pellerud came in, and when he was in the 17 World Cup took place, they brought him in. And after that, Pellerud gave me to coach the under-17 women team as a head coach from there. And I coached the under-17 women's team, won the Caribbean Cup. I'm sorry, Mannings, but I won the Caribbean Cup beating Jamaica in Jamaica with the under-17 team. I apologize for that. But
boys or girls?
Girls. Yeah, that was in 2011. Yeah, they held the CFU tournament in Jamaica, and I won that tournament to go to the CONCACAF tournament that year. So I apologize for coming in Jamaica and beating Jamaica. Okay.
All right, Mr. Vin Blaine. I'd like to know what happened. I would like to know what happened there, Mr. Vin Blaine.
Actually, Vinny was the head coach of that team.
That's why I'm asking him what happened. Like, it's some friendship thing going on. I don't know what Mr. Vin Blaine, what happened? How did Trinidad beat us in the under-17 out here in 2011?
So let me help you. Let me help you with that.
We will have to remove you with immediate effect. Go ahead.
Stephan, what has happened in these interviews? You're not the first one to make that claim. Man is finding out a little bit of history, and both male and female. And
yeah, because the under-17 team also defeated us and qualified for the World Cup.
Well, but I've been around a long time, Stephan, so I know that we're not going to gloat in that too much.
No.
What matters, and they seem
yes.
So we have to be careful. But
yes, okay, all right, my brother.
But just for memory, for a short period of time, I think he's learning that history has not been that good for Jamaica versus Trinidad and Tobago.
We are forgetting those things that are behind. We are pressing to the mark. So what is that? Yes. But what I want to ask though is that, because this is interesting, because I mean, what are some of the disadvantages that the Caribbean face as a community when it comes on to female football in particular? Because We're in a region where the number one team in the world, probably from seniors to junior, the United States is in the region. Canada is also a top 5 team as well. So 2 of the CONCACAF teams, for the most part of senior football on the female side, they have been in the top 5. All right. But yet, with the exception of Jamaica, no other Caribbean team has qualified on the female side for the female World Cup at the senior level so far.
Mm-hmm.
And that,
go ahead, sir.
And that is without any, like, even in Jamaica, though we have qualified, we struggle to put on like a female league. So most of our players either play in college in the States or they are somewhere else in Europe and not in Jamaica, which is going to kill, right? Okay. So talk to me about that, about, what is happening with football in terms of female in the Caribbean, why we are not tapping into some of what the United States and Canada is doing that have made them so successful for so many years.
Well, let me start with this.
And sorry, let me just put up the answer because he had to give me a good answer, or else we'd have to remove him. I know that there must have been an agreement in place.
Oh, listen, Vinny is my brother. Vinny is trying to save face right now, okay?
Oh, sorry, Canada is presently 6th ranked 6th in the world, yeah. But go ahead, Stephan.
Right.
An agreement between 2 coaches prior to a game. I think there's a rule against that. You all have to be careful.
As I said, I don't know about any agreement as per se. I think my brother is trying to save a little face here. Okay. So Manny, to answer your question there, first and foremost, I think our issue, our disadvantage is culture, is part of it. Our disadvantage is numbers. And I'll break it down there for you. Culturally, I'm talking about the women's side of things here right now, okay? Culturally, we know girls back in the day parents would never send them out to play football because football was considered a male sport. Okay, so women's football did not start until late in the Caribbean, as how it started much earlier in the US and Europe, as it may be. So that's the cultural side of it, where we didn't have more girls playing the sport. My niece was on the Trinidad and Tobago national team, the first Trinidad and Tobago women's national team that Desiree Sargent and all these guys played in. She was one of the first pioneers of women's football in Trinidad. And, and you really, anytime girls were playing that sport in the Caribbean, they were considered to be like tomboys. So it was very difficult for that period of time for girls to start playing the sport. So that's on the cultural side of things. So therefore, that leads into the numbers, where you look at the other countries, the US, all these other countries where they have the numbers that would give them the opportunity to select, their selection process. They can choose whoever they want. They feel with one player from a state in the US, and there are 50 players right there. Whereby in the Caribbean, Trinidad and Tobago, 1.3 million people, Jamaica, I don't know the population right now as it is, but of that population, how many young ladies or young girls are playing the sport compared to the US or one of the top CONCACAF countries? So those two things was a huge factor in the development of women's football, and hence the reason why it has taken us a long time to get to the point of where Jamaica has qualified for 2 World Cups now, and Trinidad almost got to qualify for a World Cup recently, and we can compete a little bit now with these regions. Still, they will always be a dominating factor because of the numbers that they have to select from. And also, there is no year-round league with women's football, or even for young men's football in the Caribbean. There's not a year-round league. They might play 2 months of football, and then they stop, and then they wait on high school, play high school football, they stop. And so it's like at stop and go, whereby, as you all know, here in the US, they play year-round. ECNL play year-round. They take a little break for a month maybe, but they keep going. So therefore, the development keeps taking place on and on. That is one of our biggest disadvantages in the Caribbean region.
Has there been any steps taken by CONCACAF or CFU to get more females engaged at a younger level? So I understand the concern, and I can totally agree. The culture, especially in Jamaica, where track and field is so high, maybe in Trinidad, where cricket is probably a more dominant sport than football. But with all the things that are happening in football, like I said, Jamaica qualified, Trinidad almost qualified, the scholarships that are available to play in American universities. Has there been any push from the CFU to put intentional plans in place to engage young ladies to get involved in the sport? And if so, what are those plans?
Well, I can say, I know back a few years ago, the TTFA, and I know, but for a whole on CONCACAF level, I went to a FIFA symposium in Italy, and the lady in charge of CONCACAF for grassroots sports and for women, for most on the women's side, she has been pushing a lot of initiative to develop women's football in the Caribbean and CONCACAF region. They started it, and it was a good program dealing with going on. But I think the COVID area come and stop a lot of the programs so there are some programs being put in place. I don't know on the CFU side of things if there's anything that they're doing, any initiatives. I know there are private companies that are putting some initiatives in the school programs for young girls to play from the school level. I know, Ellen, there's a gas company in Trinidad, one of those gas companies that put a lot of money into the school football. I think Marlon Charles was one of the lead proponent of dealing with that. And so there have been some initiatives to push for young girls to play, get more involved in the sport. But I think more can be done in the sense whereby CONCACAF need to have a more aggressive program towards women football in the Caribbean, rather than, as you know, anytime we have to play a international tournament, where do we look for players? We have to look for players in the US, in Europe, to make our teams competitive. When we need to start developing our players from the younger age group, from the grassroots up, and show them the pathway, basically, and have year-round competitions rather than just a 2-month competition and it end. So to answer your question, there have been some initiatives, but I think there could be a little more aggressive programs in terms of, giving in incentives for the women's side of the game, and even so the young men's side of the games also.
You mentioned culture, and you mentioned numbers. And I'm not trying to disagree with you. What I'm trying to do is explore that a little bit more. So when we look, Management mentioned earlier that the US is number 1 in the FIFA ranking from our region, and Canada is 6. We have a country like Iceland with less than 500,000 people. As a matter of fact, less than 400,000 people. And they are 16th in the FIFA ranking. So when we look at numbers, the population of Jamaica is bigger than Trinidad. I think it's about 2.8 million, Management?
3
million. Trinidad is somewhere between 1.3 and 1.5 million here all the time.
That's around 3 million living in Jamaica.
Living in Jamaica, right?
Yeah,
and
it's probably next 6 million all over the world.
All over the world, right? I think I saw Trinidad numbers just here in America alone is probably about 1 million living here. Is there a possibility that just numbers the alone could should be identified as the problem?
I'm seeing something come up on the screen here, Manage. But you look at Iceland. I'm glad you call Iceland as one of the to compare with. When you think of how much resources Iceland, they know they're a small nation, so their resources that they have, they put a lot of resources into their football programs. Okay, a lot of resources into their football program, the developmental football programs. Okay, they put a lot of resources in, and they have leagues. I mean, we have players from Trinidad that playing in that league in Iceland, and we don't have a women's professional league in Trinidad, and their population is much lower than ours. So so therefore, as you know, resources will always be part of the main problem. If there's not resources being put into and programs, the resources will put the programs together. And if we're not putting the resources into the programs, then there's no development taking place. Okay, we had a pro league in Trinidad, which I think it's good because our young men were playing at a higher level than the high school level. Okay, so that was helping our men's program, okay, develop. But there was nothing as such for the women's program in terms of what league. They had started a pro league, a semi-pro league in the Caribbean at one time when what's his name was in Minister of Sport. What's his name? Sancho. When Brent Sancho was the Minister of Sport. And that's something I thought that they should have kept going, because that would have taken the women's program, the women's development of players in Trinidad and Tobago to our next level, because they would have been seeing and they would have been seeing professional players play. There would have been more girls wanting to be like a professional player. So therefore, you would have seen a little more interest in the league. But when we look at the Wolf League that they have in Trinidad, and I don't know much about the Jamaican league or the other Caribbean leagues are not as efficient enough and to entice young ladies to get involved in the sport.
Yeah. I'm glad you made that point, because because earlier you mentioned incentives, right? Which is, I see Ishmael saying a couple of things, and he said the Caribbean stigma when it comes to female football is very high. And then says the parents, he goes on to say, and he says this, that the parents needs to be educated, especially the fathers, I guess, about their daughters playing the sport of football. But let's go a little further, because recently the United States female team, they had major challenges with the association about equal pay And that is because the female team has had more success than the male team, but they were earning astronomically higher than the female team. So that they are discussing same salary as the male. The Caribbean, um, in the leagues that when they happen, we are trying to make arrangement to start paying the females to we're not even paying them to play yet at the domestic level, while in the United States and in Canada the negotiations or the discussions are about paying equal to what the men are earning. Is that something that needs to look at? How can, like you said, can we put financial incentives in women's football so that it is seen as a viable career path for a young woman to take up, where she will earn from it, in light of, like you said, Jamaica qualifying for 2 World Cups? We have a league now, for example, that is being played that nobody is being paid. The females don't get any salary.
To be honest with you, as you say, Iceland again should be a model that we should look at. Iceland should be a model that we should look at. They have the money, as somebody is saying right now, and that's the resources I spoke about. Okay, they have the money to put into their programs, because I said we have team players from across the region. I know players from Trinidad playing in Iceland, so they have the funding. But again, their resources we have in Trinidad also, we are considered an oil and gas nation, okay? And the resources could be there. And at one time, I think one of the, they started to pay the national team players a monthly salary, which by far is one of the only time I think that was happening, plus the thing with Brent Sancho. But when you look at in terms of, if we start giving them even a stipend, just remember, Caribbean players have to travel on their own to go to training. They have to travel to go back home. They have to buy their own equipment. Okay, even if we give the players a stipend, that will help in some way. It mightn't be as how we want it to be, but it's a start. That will give some incentive. That will give some incentive to the female players and even the young male players to come out more. Because right now, the only pathway, what pathway do women players have in the Caribbean is just to play, to try and get a scholarship. That's the only pathway right now. And if they get a scholarship, or a club will help them, they might get get on the national team, and they go play a tournament, a professional club might see them and look to pick them up. But, in terms of what are we in, the Caribbean doing to get these women to that pathway, it has to be resources and sponsorships for leagues, and you have to be year-round leagues that's taking place. And I think that's by far is the main, where it would be the main thing to get women's football, the level of women's football and the interest of women wanting to play the sport more in the Caribbean.
So, Stephan, again, you've had the opportunity, and we're talking about the Caribbean, but you've had the opportunity when you started in the Caribbean to coach as an assistant coach with a head coach from the Caribbean. And you mentioned earlier in the conversation that a coach was brought in from outside at some point in time that you work under as well in Mr. Pellerud. Was there a difference in those two experiences?
Yes, there was. Yes, there was. I would say so because, coaching under Jamal, who, I mean, he's one of the most experienced coach, I think, in the Caribbean and anywhere, I think. And what he understood was the culture that he was dealing with, what he had to work with. He did his best and work with what he had to work with because he understood the culture and he understood the resources that he had to work with. Rather than when, Evan Pelleroot came on board, Evan Pelleroot came from coaching where the resources were always there for him. And he tried in some ways to implement some of these programs where it required year-round resources. Okay, and he found that he ended up finding it very difficult to make these programs a year-round program and make it more viable, to happen to extend it all the way through the year, because again, it was difficult in terms of resources. So yes, that was, to me, that was the biggest difference in coaching, in the management of the teams and the coaching aspect. I would, Evan Pelleroot is a very experienced coach. Jamal Shabazz is a very experienced coach. But those were the two, those were the variables I saw between the both of them in terms of, how I in working under both of them. Definitely.
Management.
All right. Just want to make sure that we're not getting any feedback. So understand. I just want to, because I want to go back to so Andre probably go down that path about the coaching experience, because I think about, like, for Haiti, where you're involved right now, and as I think about women's football, I think they have an opportunity to still qualify. They have a playoff game, I think. All right. So go ahead.
To play against Senegal in their first playoff game, and if they win that game, they got to play against Chile. And between the Chile and them, who wins that game qualify for the World Cup.
Okay. All right. So as a neutral looking on, I would think, like, given when like in Jamaica, you hear about Haiti, you hear about a lot of the turmoil there, and you're beginning to wonder that if there's any place that lack the resources to do this, it would be the Haitian people. But still yet, even in the under 17, the under 20, and the boys side, they at least in a couple of the last tournaments, they have gone ahead of Jamaica and Trinidad, who would want to believe are playing more football locally and playing both on the male and the female side, and probably have more resources at their disposal. But still yet, with the exception of the Jamaica senior team qualifying for both, they have really consistently been, like, right on the verge. Though it is, like I said, as an outsider, the assumption is they don't have the resources. Why would they be able then to still, without the resources, be able to do that when Jamaica, Trinidad, and some of the other Caribbean territories who have more resources are still not consistently performing at that level, both on the male and the female side?
A question, man, and I lived in Haiti for over a year. Okay, and you are so correct in terms of resources. Their main resource for maintaining football in Haiti is FIFA. That's their main resource. Okay, whatever monies they get from FIFA, because not very much money comes in from sponsorships in Haiti towards football. Okay. When I look at when I lived in there and I saw when these kids or these players in Haiti, they live, okay, they live in this in the camp. in Haiti. They live there, they go to school there, they get up 6 o'clock in the morning, they go and train. After that, they go get ready for school. The food that they have to eat is not food that other people in the Caribbean will think about eating. Okay? I mean, when these kids are eating spaghetti and ketchup for their breakfast in the morning, and they are contented because where they come from in their hometown is less than that they're getting to eat on a morning. So their main motivation is if they could make the national team, get to travel, where they can have stay in a nice hotel, sleep in a nice bed, get some good food, and maybe get some scholarships. Now I've been helping a lot of these kids get scholarships for college. But their motivation, the girls don't have a year, they had a league taking place, but the girls don't have a year-round league. The boys, on the boys' side, they have a year-round league taking place. Okay? And even all through the trials and tribulations that the country is in right now, they have the kids still playing football because football is like life. These kids, this is their way out of under the conditions that they're living under. This is their way out. Most of us in the Caribbean, we feel, that we have what we have it, we get what we want, but these kids don't have, and you're right so much, they don't have the resources that Trinidad and Tobago have or Jamaica have. But they are, in terms of quality, they're one of the best in the Caribbean, in the CONCACAF on a whole, in CONCACAF. Because I say again, it's what drives them to be that good. And I said, these kids train 3 times a day in the national program, 3 times a day. And this is not talking about the kids who are playing in the outside leagues where kids play without shin guards, they play without shoes that is bursting on the seam. In the national program, they train 3 times a day. Morning, they get to eat breakfast, as I said, in the afternoon, and then later in the evening they train. And we're taking the kids in the camp from 10 years old, and they live there until they reach 18, or they get scholarships or get contracts to go and play. They live there. They live there. The federation gives them a little stipend, which they send home for their parents. Okay, the little money the little stipend that they get. If we travel, they get a stipend. They keep that stipend and send it back to their village or the town for their families. You see, so that's their motivation and the talent that they have in that place. They fight. They fight to make a national team because they know what it means if they make a national team. They know what it means. So the ones on the outside are fighting to show the national program to get selected. Okay? We had this little tryout for the under 17 recently, managed, and we started the camp with 25 players. We ended the camp with 36 players because we were playing warm-up games and we were just, okay, why this player hasn't been selected? Why that player hasn't been selected? So in terms of why they are doing so well with the less resources that they have, it's the type of motivation that they have to want to survive, survival mode, to get out of the situation that they have, their families get out of the situation that they're in. And that's what we're missing a lot, I would say, in Trinidad, and in other Caribbean countries that got a little more resources. We're lacking that passion and that drive in us to want it as bad as how these kids want it in that country. and their country is bad, it's terrible. I'm telling you. I was just there recently, and it's not an easy place right now to be living. And these kids want it so bad managed that they will do whatever it takes, and their performance is what they know will help them get out of it.
So Stephan,
go ahead, Andre. Yeah.
Stephan, that's profound what you just shared. And there's no, obviously the Haitian people are living in very dire conditions. You made the reference very early on in the conversation about culture. And as a coach, as coaches, we all know that it's important that we all be on the same page, right? When you talk about culture, because if those are the conditions that they're living under, they're getting the same amount of money as every other MA in FIFA, right? And as you mentioned, as you alluded to, some of us have a little bit more. It sounds to me that the adults in Haiti is investing in the young people of Haiti to give them a chance to have that desire that you're talking about. Is that what you mean when you talk about culture? I would like you to tell me a little bit more what you mean when you talk about culture, because they're getting, if they're dependent solely on the FIFA money, okay, it's $11 million over 4 years, and some of us have more, and it's a little bit complex because we saw just 2 nights ago, I don't know if you saw the game. I saw Trinidad and Tobago play against St. Martin. The game ended 2-0. In my opinion, St. Martin looked comfortable. They're not a FIFA country. FIFA are not sending them money to develop the football, but we get money. So it's a little complex to understand what is really holding back the development of the football in some countries in the region, some islands in the region.
Unmute me. All right. Let me say this to you, Andre. When I say culture, and I talk about the differences in the women's culture in Trinidad and Tobago and the US and whatever, if I'm talking about culture like in Haiti, okay, when I drive through to go to the national stadium for training, I have to drive through the ghetto, as we call it. When I drive through there, streets are blocked off, and the kids are playing in the street, barefooted, still, because they can't afford a soccer shoe. Okay, I take down bags and bags of soccer equipment to give away whenever I travel to Haiti. Okay, the young kids in the ghetto are playing the game 24/7. Tell me if you see. Yes, we might go out in Trinidad. We will go and play a little small goal, but they play 24/7 because we in Trinidad we feel we are entitled, and most of some of these are correct. We're entitled, and these kids don't have that. They don't have that choice. They don't have that choice. So that's the culture where, even though the federation receives the same amount of money as Trinidad in form, even though the federation might not be giving, even if the federation give those kids a little bit, it's a whole lot more than what they would be getting otherwise anywhere else in their hometown or their home. Listen, in Haiti, there are no public schools in Haiti. Everybody has to pay to go to school, and if your family cannot afford to pay for you to go to school, you don't go to school. So the only way out is football. You see? And that's the culture I'm talking about there with the Haitians. The little, even if the federation don't give them, because most of us know, right, as we all know, most of the money is spent on the men's team because they say that's what brings in the money in federations. Okay, most money goes to the men's team. Now, in Haiti, the women's team and the women's youth team have the under 17 boys qualify for the last under 17 World Cup. The under 20 women's team that I work with, they qualified for the 20 World Cup. And I am, and then you have this under 17 that we're putting together here. I think they have a very good chance with the quality that we have will qualify, should be able to qualify. We hope so. But the monies don't necessarily go towards the youth program. They go more to the senior team that we know in all association, most of the men's. But the Haitians, the youth programs get, the players are, let's say, they are contended with whatever they get because they will be getting way less than that if they weren't even in the national program. So their culture, basically I'm talking about there is the little they have, they make a way use of it, little that they have in their culture. So the talent is non-stop in that country, brother.
Yeah. And I have to ask this question because this is, I'm just amazed at some of these things. Now, you made mention of having them in camps from like 10 years old all the way up to when they're 18 years old. So would this mean that this group of under 17 that you have, because let me just preface the question. The preface to the question is, including Jamaica, the biggest hindrance to us qualifying is we do not have enough time. We did not have enough time to prepare the team. That has always been one of the major things. It took too long for us to start, right? Though we know, I think it's not just Jamaica, but I'm going to use Jamaica. Though we know when the next competition is going to happen, it doesn't change. It is set in stone. So right now, today, we know the exact starting point for the next under 17 cycle. We know that. But when it comes to getting to the tournament, the major hindrance is we never had enough time to prepare the team. Now, and I am hearing from a place where there's less resources, having players from age 10 to 18, right? From age 10 to 18, every single day, right? So how can, and we were having this discussion. I mean, we were having this discussion on this channel recently where people are saying that we don't have enough money in Jamaica to prepare our kids 2 years in a row. That is why we have to wait. And a place where their only source of footballing income is the FIFA disbursement, right? Which must, on a yearly basis, meet the needs of all of their age group team and senior team. There is a next nation in the same Caribbean that is able to keep not just their under 17s, but players as young as 10, not for 18 months, but for 8 full years. And disbursement, I don't, there must be something else. That can't be how it works.
Unmute me. Okay. I know it's mind-boggling, but until you are there, see for yourself, you will see the fact. I mean, you ask people who have gone to Quadra Bouquet, is a FIFA goal project, basically, where the kids, only because of the pandemic recently is why the kids had to be sent home. Okay, and this this women's team that's, okay, I'll put it this way. This women's team that's looking to qualify for this World Cup right now, that whole team, this Coventina, the girls who, she just won the FIFA World Youth Player of the Year. Okay? She came into Quadabuke at 10 years old. And she has been living there. I coached her for the full year and a half I was there. And I coached a senior team. I had like 5 or 6 or 7 under 20 players on the senior team. She was the best player at that time still, and still is. That group of players grew up together in that goal project there, grew up together. And there's most of them, some of them have gotten contracts in France, but all that same group, most of them grew up together till they were 15, 16 years old, okay, in that camp, in that place called that goal project, FIFA goal project there. I tell you, the kids live there, they go to school there, that's where they live. The meals, when I went there, it's the first time these kids got cereal in the morning, they got fruit in the morning, they had, I make them got, green vegetables and stuff, because I made them stop drinking Coca-Cola, okay, in the camp. And I try to change, to get them in a more, get them their bodies ready. But these kids will train little you give them, they'll train harder than a team that's getting the best there. And I mean, I'm saying this because I was there and I see it, okay? I see it for myself. And I gave up some of my wages to make sure the kids had things that they needed. Because the talent that was there, and the talent that still is there in that country is just so amazing. You'll be unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And with the little that they get. So it's about, again, how you set up your program. Okay, as somebody said, ISN have money. Of course, ISN have money, but the program is set up year round. It's not set up before a tournament, 2 months before a tournament, you want to put together a team. You know that the tournament is coming up, okay, but is there, like St. Lucia, St. Kitts and Nevis, they have a goal project there, and they kind of using their project to use of what it's supposed to do. Costa Rica, you go to Costa Rica, their goal project, their teams stay there, and they prepare their teams there. Months, their teams live there, go to school, and live there, and they prepare themselves for their tournaments. Hence the reason why you see why these teams will be getting better and doing better at these events. Okay? So it's about how the program is set up. These kids live there, they eat there, whatever little they get to eat, and but they train like they're training for a World Cup when they go out to their training sessions, man. And that is why that country will always have quality players, okay? Because they grow up together. Age group, and I'm talking about boys and girls, not just girls alone. Boys and girls live there. And most people who went to Haiti would attest to that. Ask Jamal, he'll tell you that.
So, Stephan, I could hear the passion, and appreciate. I think, was it in December? I think because each other in the airport somewhere, might have been Miami or somewhere. You were either coming back or going or something like that. And I remember after you left, because we talked briefly about Haiti, and I remember after you left me, I started to think about, because I've only been in the airport in Haiti one time, and I remember that experience. And I said, man, Stephan is living in Haiti, spending time in Haiti, considerable amount of time. That must be interesting. Let me ask you this, because I think there's something that we don't discuss, and I think we can get there with little piece by piece. Why did you give up some of your salary to help the kids in Haiti?
Okay. I have been blessed. I didn't grow up no rich person, but me, I think my purpose here on this earth here, to be honest with you guys, is to help people. Whatever little I have, and I see people in need, I will give up my last shirt on my back to help someone if I see you in need. And when I saw the conditions that these kids were living under, even if they were living in the camp, even they were living in that FIFA Gold project, they're living, and it's called Quadabuque. Okay, even though they were living there, that's called the ranch. The condition was not the best conditions. The food was still not the best food. Okay, and I decided I don't need that much. I don't. These kids, Andre, let me tell you something, you guys. Up to today, I've helped almost half of that group to get into college in the U.S. Okay, and most of them now, the TPS that they're giving the Haitian kids, and they now in the U.S. they are taking advantage of that, and so therefore that Haitian team you see in there, if the players that's in the U.S. could have traveled out of the U.S., that team would have been way stronger, because some of the players are here in the U.S. and they've applied for the TPS, which is a temporary permanent status that the U.S. is offering them, that they can't travel outside of the U.S. But I gave up that, Andreas, to answer your question, is because I saw the need that these kids had, and not just the need, but I saw how much they wanted it, and I will always have a passion for helping these kids in any which way I can to better their lives and their family lives.
So let me interrupt you a little bit. And I look, I want football in the region to do well. I believe in the people in the region, and I believe that we can do better. And I could identify what we're saying because I coach myself. I coach in a place that there's people with a lot more resources, but I do deal with a lot of kids that come to America under the quote refugee status, and we have to do similar things for them. But what I'm hearing you saying is that you are working in football in Haiti, and you are given to Haiti. You are not taken from Haiti. I think that's an important point. You are given to Haiti, and are you saying that because if we talk about we have the same amount of money, some of us have more. Do we need more people like you throughout the Caribbean that is willing to give to young people? Is that the problem? I don't know. I'm asking. I'm not trying to offend anyone, but is that the cause of the problem? Management, forgive me.
No,
You have to ask the
listen.
question.
No. Listen, it's a great question, Andre, and I think I think there are people who are willing to do that in the rest of the Caribbean. I think more should be done like that, to be honest with you. But unless the powers to be within, because as I say, these people did not, let me say these people, the Haitian Federation, they have so much respect for me now in what I've done and what I'm doing with their players, and they see how much I care about their players, that they ask me, I tell them, well, look, I think you should implement this and implement this for the benefit of because they know I'm not doing it for me, I'm doing it for the players. I think if we have the powers to be in the other Caribbean nations, would maybe sometime listen, and try to implement some of the ideas, and look at countries like Haiti, who is one of the poorest countries in the Western Hemisphere, and see that their football and their players, the talent that we have, listen, that how could they be that good with so much less? I think that's what we need to look at. So, if we can get more people involved in putting that message out there to the powers that be, and see that, there are people out here who are willing and ready to put more into development. We don't have to, go home, do clinics, do this, do that. We ain't looking to get paid. And the Haitian Federation, no, I don't look for money from them. So I will go and I will do a clinic. Like the head coach, Angelo Jean-Baptiste, he's Haitian, but he's living in Montreal. We'd go down, we do coaching clinics, for the coaches, and that I think should be something that we should mirror, the rest of the convention mirror, and try and do things like this. I think it will help in some way, Andre, to be honest with you.
All right, let me ask this, because I am still here just trying to, just looking at transferable principles. So one of the key things that you raised that I'm still here just wrapping my mind around it. Welcome, Kendall Reyes. Let me just get up his comment. So do you think that the need is different, so the desire to succeed is different? So you can answer that one from Kendall Reyes after. But when I hear about you having that FIFA, the FIFA goal project, is it Kudabaike? Well, how is it pronounced? Hold on, let me just
Quadabuke.
Okay, all right. So this is a FIFA goal project. I suspect that, like I said, there is one in St. Lucia. What I need to find out if the Captain Horace Burrell Center of Excellence is a FIFA goal project or some other funding that did that. All right, because what I want to find out, or what I'm trying to well, let me ask you this question. The principle of having the kids in camp has obviously worked for Haiti. I remember even in the club championship, there was a young center forward from the Haitian team that decimated the defense of the two Jamaican team. I think he ended up playing in the under-20 youth World Cup qualifiers as well.
Yeah, with us.
Very good forward. I've seen a Haitian team gone to the Gold Cup, and they didn't have enough players, and teams could not beat them. All right, for whatever reason, because of some COVID stuff, the team was short. I don't know what documentation stuff, but they didn't have enough players. But they fought like this was an 18-man squad, and they made 5 changes. Now, what I want to find out is what is preventing the rest of the Caribbean from getting 30 players, the 30 best players across their nation, like Jamaica, go through the 14 parishes and find the 30 best 12 years old, keep them, send them to school, feed them, give them stipend to send back home to their parents. Just like that is what I'm trying to figure out. Why that can't be done with the resources that we have, seeing that Haiti is doing it. Because what you're saying is that this is the recipe for success. Because obviously Haiti is doing well. Like I said, the under-20, the under-17, the senior team, the female and male, they are doing well.
Yes.
And from what I'm hearing, this seems like it is a lot of homegrown. It's not like they're saying, okay, we have no one homegrown, so let's go and find the best Haitians in France and the best Haitians in England and the best Haitians. This seems to be like a lot of homegrown talent that they have kept together for an 8-year period, taking full care of them, and then this is producing the result. Is this something that the rest of the Caribbean should look at doing? Maybe not exactly how. Maybe they have it where every weekend they go back home. but on Monday morning they come back to the camp. Is this something that other Caribbean territories should do to just ensure that there is success in their football?
Well, first let me see if I can answer Coach Kendall Reyes' question here, if that's okay.
Yes, you can go ahead and answer.
Okay. To answer Kendall Reyes' question, the need is definitely different because, as I said, the culture of these people, where they come from, the little that they get is more than they would have gotten, So that's why I said other players, like in Trinidad, they feel entitled, so they don't think they have to work as hard to get what they want, or which is to make a national team, to fight to make a national team, just to get a little more. So yes, to answer your question, Kendall, yes, the need is different. So their desire to succeed, their motivation to succeed definitely will be different. And that's what you're seeing. Okay? And I think I mentioned that earlier on. You will see that in them. And that's what happens there. Right. So to answer your question now, Manning, yes, I think that will make a huge, huge impact if every Caribbean nation, as you could select, like when in Haiti, they're selecting these players. Players come from all regions of the country. And it goes through, the trial process goes through for a whole week. This is boys and girls 10, 11 years old, okay? And out of, let's say 400 kids, they select 30, the best 30. And those 30 players move into Quadra and they start living there, okay? They start going to school there and they start training there. 2 times a day, they train. During the weekends, they play 3 times a day, train 3 times a day. And these 90% of these kids who are on their national teams are homegrown. The senior players who play on the Haitian national team are players who grew up, who went to that camp. Some of them they might have gotten from abroad, but the majority, like, and I know this women's team, all the players, almost 90% of the players on that team grew up in Quadra. Okay? So these players have been playing with each other for a long time, and they know each other, they fight for each other, they work for each other. Okay? So yes, I believe that it could change in the Caribbean if they model something like this. And as you say, it doesn't have to be where they could go home on weekends, or even if they do it in a sense where they have the kids come on a weekend only, stay the weekend, train the weekend, and then go home during the week. But every weekend they come and they train. Every week they come on the weekend they come to train. And I've mentioned this. I've mentioned this a lot of times when I was back in Trinidad. I mentioned this to Jamal and they have a national academy where the kids can come in and stay from like a Friday evening. They come stay, train Friday, Saturday, Sunday, go home Sunday evening. You have 2 sessions on a Saturday, 2 sessions on a Sunday, go home Sunday evening. Okay? Even if you have to do it at that point, but to have where they can all develop together, that's the only way I see that we can compete against the rest of the CONCACAF nations without having to look for players abroad. Okay, if you look at the Jamaican team, how many players on that Jamaican team grew up in Jamaica? How many? Maybe 2 or 3. The rest of the players were born they grew up in the US, or they were born in the US, or Canada, or wherever, other countries, As I say now, our U17 team right now, boys, I'm working with we have some players from France and Canada and the US, because the kids was not in Quadabuque for the past 2 or 3 years because of the pandemic. Okay, but if you see the talent that's in that country still outside of the national program, it's amazing. So yes, to answer the question, yes, that's where I see the Caribbean nations, if they can follow that model, even to a lesser extent, it will make a difference in the development of our young players moving forward.
So Man's man is my friend. He's my co-host, but he's also my friend. And he seems to be struggling. He asked 3 times about he can't believe what is happening. So I'm going to try to help with that. Let me see. Stephan, is there a chance? Is there any money other than what comes from FIFA? Is there any support that's coming from anywhere else to support football in Haiti? From I don't know, from private donors, from anywhere other than the money they get from FIFA?
Brother, as far as I know, Andre, no sponsorship. There hasn't been any much sponsorship involved with the Haitian football national program. There hasn't been. As I said, there are players who I have people donate soccer shoes. I have people donate shin guards for national team players. For national team players, okay? As far as I know, there's no sponsorship being involved with the Haitian Federation. As far as I know, I don't know if when I was there, you know, you might have somebody's maybe bringing some food for the camp for you know where the kids are living. I lived there. I lived at a hotel for like 6 months, and then for the next 6 months, they finished they renovated the coaches house in the camp there, and I went and lived there in the camp for the next 6 months. I was there, and so I got up and ate together with these kids. I ate breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Spent time with them there in the camp itself, and I saw people brought in food, you know, food stuff for them. But that's what's about it. Right. I don't know, and there hasn't been any much sponsorship per se in terms of funding for the Haitian Federation.
Well, what you're doing there in Haiti is commendable, and I'm sure they show a tremendous amount of gratitude for what you're doing. And I don't know, I you know, we talk from time to time. I didn't know how difficult. I think Stephan is losing his internet there. Man as well.
Yeah, he seems to be having a connection issue. So
yeah,
let's see if we'll bring him back. But I don't want to say that I'm shocked, right? I am not shocked, but I would want to believe that there are plans to take this kind of approach. And I'm going to go to Europe to give a good example, because presently, what's the name of the facility in France? The French have a facility where it's their national academy. Yeah, Clairefontaine, right? Where the Pogbas and a lot of these guys come through it.
I think he lost his power.
Yeah. Okay. The English also recently built theirs. I think who we had on the program who told us that was it 2010? They completed it, and since that time, since the completion of their camp, the English, they have won the U17 and I think the U20s.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the French have been doing it. I'm wondering. I'd want to believe that Jamaica, Trinidad, and other Caribbean territories are at present seeking funding to build a national academy. because this is what the FIFA Gold project that he's speaking about. Haiti used their resources to build a national academy. I think we need to get that. Build a national academy where the players, your elite players, your best players can be in this academy. They live there, they are provided with the best educational opportunity and the best football development possible. If we do this, I see us qualifying for under 17, under 20s. And I think if anyone on the Caribbean, like the next Caribbean territory to take this kind of approach, will see significant results and rewards.
Look, Boris Johnson he's used the word here a couple of times, the word leadership. And sometimes these are the difficult discussions, right? But I think I would agree with him here. And I'm not accusing anybody, but good leadership is important, right? People who are willing to do what needs to be done and do what's right for the moment and not compromise. What do what's right for short term, for medium term, and for long term development of the players. And the word leadership is a very, very important word in terms of us being able to develop football in the region.
Yeah. I just see someone just sent me. Yeah, someone just sent me something here from May 20, May 22nd, 2010, saying Digital announced it has renewed its support of Haiti's Football Federation in a multi-million-dollar deal over the next 4 years. I think that was from 2010 to 2014. I just got that from someone watching the show. But I am saying that to run an 8 years, because you have the kids from age 10 to 18. I don't know how many. I think he said 30. I don't know if the number was 30 kids, but I'd love to know.
I think he said 30 kids.
But there is male and female, so it can't be 30 in total, because they have on the male side and on the female side, because he said they live together. And I'm saying, you know, it can work.
Not only do they live together, I think he phrased it right, that they play for each other. There's a lot of Haitian players playing in different parts of the world, and we just have to look. You could learn from anybody, right? You could learn from those with a lot of resources, and you could learn from those with very little resources. Look, somebody, and I was going to mention this. I read an article this morning, and in one of the Trinidad papers, I believe it was the Trinidad.
Hold on, let me put up. Sorry to cut you.
That's
because
fine.
Kendall Reyes actually said this. He says the U.S. under 17 used this approach for many years at Bradenton, Florida.
Yeah.
So you see why they have had success. Because we know the English used it, one day under 17. France used it, one under 17, under 20. Haiti is doing it, they're having success. So I think this is something that I'd urge even the Jamaica Football Federation to see where they can probably find some land and build a national academy. Maybe they need to look at partnering with Mount Pleasant and see maybe.
Well, management just on the
article, yeah.
On the Bradenton, Florida stuff. If we go back and look at that, I know I have something somewhere that I created. I didn't expect to have to address that, but while the US had this for many years, they have qualified for some and not qualified for some. Like in 2013 for the under 17 that was held in Panama. That's one is at the top of my head because my son played in that one, and they didn't qualify in that one. So, you know, we got to find the right balance in the region. But I read an article this morning. Welcome back, Stephan.
Humbly apologize, gentlemen. We have some weather here in Houston here. That's some lightning that's just knocked power out for a second.
Yes, because all of Houston and Dallas, they have canceled a lot of things today. Yeah.
It's been challenging all month. A lot of rain falling.
Mm-hmm.
I was just sharing that I read an article this morning in the I believe it was the Express, and the person went to the game on Sunday that was played at the National Stadium. And management, you have mentioned many times that I was supposed to send that to you, that the amount of facilities that is in Trinidad. And he was writing about the game, and he also wrote about the condition of the facilities. And the facilities is located in an area that that's referred to as Mokorapo. And the last sentence, the very last sentence he wrote in that article, he said, "I left Mokorapo with a heavy heart, silently lamenting how easily we throw away what is ours and how often we mistreat ourselves." And I find that to be a profound statement. I don't know the individual. I don't know whether he was just referencing the stadium or if he was making a statement about the broader society, right? And I would see in that, if we with all the ideas that's out there, what the US has done, what they do in France, what they do in England, what they do in Haiti, what they're doing in St. Lucia or in Costa Rica, if we really get around the table and try to find the best way for Jamaica, the best way forward for Trinidad, the best way forward, I think the resources that we have, we can have an impact. We can have an impact and compete. I think the numbers argument is a good argument. The resources argument is a good argument. Every argument you could come up with is a good argument. But at the end of the day, do you let it stop you? Or do you go over, under, around it and find a way to be competitive? And I think that mindset is what would help us move forward in the region and be competitive.
Yeah, before we go back to Stephan, Shelly the Atkinson, listen, if you're watching on either platform, I am sure Sports or I am sure Sports Caribbean, make sure you subscribe to both. Please like the video and share the video so others can be engaged in this worthwhile conversation. Shelly Atkinson, the Captain Horace Burrell Center for Excellence is not really a national academy. It is a training center. A training center is a little bit different from a national. The concept of a national academy is different because you can have a training center as part of your national academy, but not every training center is a national academy. So what we have right now, the way it is presently, is a training center because there's one surface really, AstroTurf, one surface, right? Think 40 rooms and stuff. So that's more like where you go in camp to train. A national academy is where you have multiple surfaces, like I said, male and female. They live in bed area with, where they can watch videos, and it's a broader concept. So if they can expand that, and maybe they can build out there and turn it into a national academy, that would make sense, because you already, and create a couple of other fields, because you can't have your academy playing only on AstroTurf or surfaces, right? And maybe you can go ahead now, Stephan, and tell me if I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, let me say this. In Quadra Bouquet, we have 2.5 fields in that academy. 2.5. Okay? A main field, smaller field, and then a field where the goalkeepers and the trainer on. Okay? That's all. AstroTurf. AstroTurf. We train twice a day, morning and evening. The younger ones, same thing, twice a day. The younger ones train earlier in the afternoon, the older ones train later. Don't use lights much because it's the affordability of the lights. They have to use kerosene to use they have to use a generator, okay, so the lights will stay on longer. Okay, so you don't need much field. You don't need much field to have a national academy. You have two AstroTurf fields, and you're set. It's just the difference. I totally agree with you. Is where the kids where you have there, it's a training center where the teams go and camp for a 10-day camp. It's like Trinidad and Tobago home of football, where the teams go and stay there for 10 days before a 10-day camp before they go to their event. Okay, so that's basically what you have there. What I think we need, and I've been saying this in Trinidad, I said it since I got there in 2010. I told it to the relevant people. I spoke to everybody about it. We need a national academy. A national academy. And you can have your 11-year-olds and 12-year-olds go there. And as I said, we know the culture in Trinidad is parents don't want their daughters, mothers don't want their daughters out of the site for a long time. Okay? But the difference in Haiti is that these parents are happy when their kids get picked in that last 30, because they know their child will be in an environment where they're getting fed 3 times a day, they have a place to sleep, they're getting free schooling, okay? But on the other hand, in Trinidad, if you have a national academy where the kids, or even the training center, where you have the kids coming, as I said earlier on, coming from Friday till Sunday night. If you have them do that every weekend, okay, there still will be an improvement in the development process, rather than wait until 2 months before an event to have the kids come outside a train before you go to an event. Okay, so it can be done, guys. It can be done if the powers to be really put their heads together and make this happen. It can be done. Okay?
Yeah. Kendall Ray says leadership in the region is antiquated in their ideas and approaches to governance and development. A broad vision, strategic long-term planning is necessary and achievable. One thing I'll say though, Kendall Rays, and I can know, I see some light at the end of the tunnel on the Jamaican side, because the Federation has made some recent changes in terms of Dennis Strong has been integrated into the football astute business mind. Also, Chris Daring has also come into the Federation. These are professionals who have come in. The new coach and part of the coaching staff, one of the persons is a person charged with writing all of these proposals to get whatever grants from FIFA. So there is an overhaul, and maybe this needs to go right throughout the Caribbean. These are all new, fresh persons who, though they have been involved in corporate Jamaica, they have not necessarily been involved in a hands-on way in the football, which is what probably needs to happen. Maybe even in Trinidad, that there needs to be a changing of the guard per se, so we can get in persons. I mean, just speaking to Kamara David, you get the feeling, even from that if you do the same thing, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always be who you've always been. And so that's the thing with people. And I always say that there's a time that change is necessary, not because you are doing bad, but because somebody else can do better. And I don't know if people are willing to accept that, because when people see that they are being, removed or realigned, they think because they are failed. No, you have not failed. We have just found somebody who can do better. And there's a season for you, and your season has ended. But we don't want to let go. It's just like autumn still fighting to stay in summer, kind of a thing. Like, I'm not going to end summer. You just got to, something like that. Like, we have to be able to know when our seasons have ended, and give, like what Kendall is saying, new persons an opportunity to bring new ideas to the table. What say both of you to that?
Well, I would say this. I saw the TTF Anton Cornell, and I totally agree with Kendall in the sense where, and you too, I think that you can't keep doing the same thing over and over and getting no results. It's just considered madness. Okay, and Trinidad just brought in Lachu, who I respect as a very well-educated young man, and I think for their player development program, and I know he and I spoke just recently, and he will have some good ideas in terms of development of players and not just of coaches only. And they brought in a CEO to run the Elite League, which is more again based on seniors. And so the what I'm saying is that he's a CEO, but is he just gonna be seen about the Elite League only? And what happens to we keep always missing the point of, and this is where I say countries like Haiti always have better senior team players or whatever, because the development program is the academy national center that they have will always keep their players developing. This is why we have to look now, Trinidad have to look now for players, always first thing they have to look for players on the outside. That's the first thing they start doing, because the talent in Trinidad is not there. Especially I know on the women's side of things, it's lacking badly, So first and foremost, you have to start at the bottom to rise. And if you don't develop there, you can't just keep going here all the time. You got to start down here. So the academies are what needed in our region. Says. You see what, and I'm reading what Kendall here said. Jay had changed the guards, and that is the first and most important step.
Yeah. So I like what you're saying though, because and that is true, because at our JPL, I mean, we have the Jamaica, they call it the Jamaica Professional Football Limited, which is headed by Chris Williams, who is an ex, business man from the corporate world who have come in, and Owen Hill. So that all of these persons from corporate Jamaica are getting involved. But here's a good thing that here's what I love, what you're saying, right? Is that even if you fix the top, if you don't deal with development, you aren't changing anything. And that is the key. The changes at the top are not significant unless you're dealing with the developmental issue. And that's what we need to get. I know that Andre has trained in, and while he has trained in, I have to trade out, and then you have to adapt. So we have around 10 or so minutes. But listen, this conversation, I'd love to know that we can continue the conversation with you. We're going to have to put, like when you pop the wine, you have to put the cork in it, but you're going to have to pull it again. Right, so we're gonna have to do that, because there's a whole lot more that we need to get into. So we don't want to let you leave without getting some commitment that you're gonna come back, right? Or else we're gonna have to,
No, I would love to, to come back anytime, with you guys, you gentlemen. This is. For me, I live in the States, but my passion, my heart is still in the Caribbean, and I want to see things develop. I want to see things go better in the career. There's a lot of people out here, a lot of coaches out here as myself. Kendall is one of these guys. Andrea, the one of ones that I know you have some of your compatriots also who always want to see things, go well for the Caribbean countries. Vinny Blaine is one of my best good friends, and he's one of those guys also. So I anytime, I will be happy to come back and have this conversation with you guys or further. Definitely.
So just before we go, and this is where I would like the next conversation to go. I don't know if you're involved, if you're aware, maybe you can be prepared for the next time. What is Haiti plan for the 2026 World Cup coming up? It's a footballing country, lots of ambition. Is there a plan in place at the moment?
They have, as far as the 2026 World Cup, that as soon as this women's, they have the men's Nation League going to be starting here pretty soon. And I think there are some players that they're going to be incorporating from the last under 20 group that we coached into that senior team, because some of the senior players are now, at that age where, they have to let the younger players come in, integrate into the team. So they are starting to prepare for that with some of the U20 players and the senior players. They're going to be starting their preparation. I said, the difficulty right now in Haiti is you're not able to train in the country itself. Yes, we went there, we did some training in India itself, but it's difficult, right? And because you can't go into camp and train because of the unsettledness in the country right now. So most of the training are being done either in the Dominican Republic, or right now the under-17s are in the Dominican Republic, because it's hard to get the train in Haiti. And so that's the difficulty right now. But the preparation in terms of starting to put the teams together is being done on a wider scale right now, starting to prepare for the Nations League and also the group that will probably be going into the 2026 World Cup qualification process.
Well, that's good. We'd like to hear more about that the next time we talk. And I would say to you that I respect the work that you have been doing in the Caribbean, in Haiti in particular. That must be a difficult environment to go work in. And so I respect that, everything that you have done, and hope to learn a little bit more about what you guys have planned ahead and what the future look like.
Next time, and I will get more in depth with that side of it, definitely.
All right, so there you go, people. We wonderful discussion we had this afternoon with Stephan Defoe, Andre Fortune, right, who just got some confirmation that indeed he was a very skillful player. Didn't say he was good. He has a lot of skills, and you know how that is in football, right? Some of the most skilled players are not very good because they're good at doing that. They will juggle the ball, they will throw it in the back of the net, but having the skills don't mean that you play very well. He didn't know that I was planning a comeback, right? I'm like a cat, I have 9 lives. Yeah, that's not what I mean. So he's going to have to prepare for his comeback. But I want to thank them both for coming on and joining and being a part of this show. Really, really fantastic. And one thing I walk away from this, like in life, the only limit is on you, is you. It's never resources, it's you. So don't limit yourself. And if there's a will, there is a way. And the Haitian people have a will, and so they're making a way. And so all other Caribbean nations, you have reason coming out of discussion to put aside the excuses, because everyone gets the same amount, right? It's what you do with what you get that will really make the greatest impact. So the question I want to ask all of us across the Caribbean in football, What are you doing with what you have been given? That is what makes the difference. What are you doing, Trinidad? What are you doing with what you have been given? Jamaica, what are you doing with what you have been given? Look at what is happening with football in Haiti. In spite of all the things that are happening, worse than almost any other Caribbean territory, yet they're still seeing success. Let's take the transferable principles and apply them to where we're at, right? And see if we can see some changes in the footballing landscape. I want to say again, big thank you to all of you. Those in Trinidad. Listen, if you are in Haiti, you have to like this stream, share this stream. I'm going to ask Coach Stephan before is going to send it to you. So you have to make sure that the next time all the Haitians, you flood the comment section. All the people from Trinidad and Tobago flood the comment section. You can't allow the Jamaicans to keep outnumbering you. All right. All right. See Andre getting some support here. All right.
You say, wait, say you have 9 lives? Is that some people are more?
I'm going to leave this. I'm going to leave this one alone, right? I'm going to leave this one alone. So you win, sir. You can. Yeah. You could play football, all right? So I'm going to leave it alone and think. Maybe I need to ask Coach Sean. That would be a good. But I know that he can do it. I know he can do his thing. Come on, we just have
you see, management.
Yeah.
You I think you're missing every guest so far talked about Trinidad, and again, I'm not a guy like to dwell in the past. The past is really good for memory, but our results against Jamaica has been good.
You know what? That's good enough. But I always have a comeback, right?
Yeah, I know.
See, when you win you win the fight, but we win the war because
right now you're in a good place. That's why I'm not fighting you. I saw Boris Johnson said just now. He mentioned he hope your light is not a lighter.
Yeah. I saw that. That was funny.
I can see what you're seeing as well. See what you're seeing as well.
So I said there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and he said, I hope it's not a lighter.
I can see why you feel that way.
But again, people, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day and be safe, right? The mantra for Coach Stephan Defoe is to help people. I always say that one of my roles in life is to add value to people's life. That's my mantra. In everything I do, I seek to add value to people's life. So do that today. Find a way, an opportunity to add value to someone's life. I am management. That's Andre and Stephan. This has been I Am Sure Sports. And when it gets to this point, we say we are over and we are OUT out of here.